Well, this is it. My last video lecture with you guys for ministry caregiving. And I have surely enjoyed this time together. You guys are awesome. You're awesome. I wish I could just take you all with me and travel the world together. Um, this has been like about the funnest class I've ever done. You guys are awesome. Anyway, I just want to touch base on a couple of things. This week is my last lecture, and then next week is the final project, not an exam. I changed that, so take a look on that. It's the choice activity, and some of you guys already have it done, so you're just like smooth sailing here on this part. Those of you who didn't, be sure to get that in because there's some significant points tied to it. Um, so in this session, we're going to be covering three different things: referrals and resources and a caregiving code of ethics. And I'm going to spend most of the time on referrals. Oh, I wish I had time to unpack all of these in full lectures for each one. In fact, I had that already prepared to go, but another day, another time. And if you want, I could flunk you and you can come back and take it again, and then we could do it that way. Or come back. I know you guys just come back and visit my class someday. That would be a lot of fun. Well, let me share my screen with you, and we are off to the races. Oh yeah, and mobilizing care is another piece that's ties to referrals. Okay. Whoops. Oh no, what happened? Oh, here we go. Here we go. There we go. Yep, okay, now I'm in business. Okay, so when you're referring, the question is, when do you refer? What is a referral, by the way? A referral is when you realize you're over your head or you shouldn't be doing this counseling caregiving situation, that somebody else with a little more knowledge or experience or time or whatever, that those guys should be doing this instead of you. And there are times, lots and lots and lots of times, where the best thing for a pastor or a youth pastor, worship pastor to do is to refer somebody to a counselor or some legal advice or whatever, to move it from your court over to theirs. There are three main things to consider when making a referral: is your own gifting, your vocation, that's your personal calling. So like some people are great pastors, great leaders, great visionaries, but they're not so great as at being a counselor. And if you know that, then boy, don't punish your people by making them come to you. You find somebody else that will do that, and then you refer it over to them. That blesses both of you and helps you to be most genuinely who you are. Although I'm very skeptical of pastors who say, I don't have the gift of mercy. I've heard pastors brag about that. And whenever they say that, I cringe, because what I interpret that to mean is I don't care for people very much. See, I have high gifts of mercy. And so I interpret it that way. You got to be careful about that. Let's say you're not naturally gifted to be a counselor. You still got to care for people. You can't delegate love. Nobody can do that. So, but like to spend lots and lots of hours in counseling, that may not be your thing. And if you know that, then don't do it. Also, are you trained for it? I'm a little bit nervous that you think you're trained to be a pastoral counselor because you took this class. I mean, I've just given you just enough information to make you dangerous. And so keep learning, keep growing, keep stretching. And when you're over your head, be sure that you acknowledge that. If you suspect you might be, you probably are, because usually we're over our head before we realize it. So the more experience you get, the more you understand things and see it. So you want to keep on, connecting and learning and growing through this. But you want to look at your training, your experience, and also your time and your energy. Like as my church grew, I found that I didn't have time to do multiple counseling sessions with the same person. So I had to fix them in one session. Stop it. Just stop it. It worked great. Nobody ever came back to me after that. Just kidding. But anyway, I didn't do extended long periods of counseling. If they needed long psychotherapy, that wasn't me. That was somebody else. I was a pastor. I gave them pastoral counsel, and I did it for one or two shots. Or maybe pre-marriage counseling. Of course, I would do more than that. but for family issues, conflict resolution stuff, it's the same issue over and over and over again. Then we need to move on. The big question you got to ask yourself is, what is the best way to love this person who is coming to me? And sometimes the most loving thing you can do is guide them to somebody who can really help them, rather than you pretending like you can help them. Okay, so here are some specific issues that you probably ought to be referring, all right? Referring to a counselor or somebody else. If they're physical issues, if they're coming to you because of their blood sugar, for instance, you're not a doctor. In fact, don't make diagnosis. So that sounds like a brain tumor to me, They have no, you don't have any clue whether it's a brain tumor. And so, there are pastors that get into the physical diagnosis thing. I've done that a couple of times and was mistaken on both occasions. So don't do that. Don't do that. If there are significant issues, like you say, an eating disorder, you're not going to help them by trying to do a pastoral counseling out of an eating disorder. They need help for that. If there are some psychiatric symptoms is what is supposed to say. Can I get them? Nope, that didn't work. Oh, well, you just have to trust me, I guess. The psychiatric symptom, like if they're just totally, if it's not working, if their schizophrenia is going on, if they're hearing voices, if they're bipolar and they're manic and then they're depressed, and there's just heavy stuff going on here, multiple personality things. Refer that. That's not, it's way over your head. If somebody is drinking, taking drugs, just doing that, and it's wrecking their lives, unless God can miraculously deliver somebody, but a lot of times what they need is treatment. They need to go into treatment, and God miraculously does it through treatment. I've driven many people to detox. If there's self-destructive stuff, like if they're suicidal, and you can tell that that's really a legitimate, serious concern, boy, don't carry that by yourself. You need to get help and find somebody who knows what they're doing. Maybe even drive them to the emergency room if you have to. Legal issues is another one, and financial crisis stuff. Again, our job is not to give legal advice or financial counseling. Now, there are some people who have that gift, even within the church. I had like this guy who's really smart money man. And if somebody came to me with financial crisis, I would refer him over to him. He was an executive with IBM, and he was great. I mean, God saved him, and then he used his gifting in his retirement years for ministry purposes. That's great. So leave the financial counseling to financial counselors, and the legal issues to legal counselors, and you'll be a whole lot better off. If somebody's personality changes abruptly, all of a sudden somebody that's outgoing becomes withdrawn, or something, somebody starts acting erratic or whatever, it's a crazy stuff. It's like just they change. You want to get that checked out, maybe with a doctor or something, because sometimes this is like a sign of a brain tumor. It's a sign maybe of a stroke. It could be something like a drug stuff going on, or something chemically going on inside that person's body that's causing that. That may not be a spiritual issue at all. And then any other issue that might require intensive and extensive counseling. Extensive means for a long period of time, intensive, going down. Like if there are deeply embedded childhood issues that need to be dug up and dealt with, I mean, you could try, but I would suggest not doing that, because you're not a trained psychotherapist. You're a pastor. And you need to give them pastoral guidance, pastoral work. You do what you do best, and let those guys do what they do best. Now, speaking about finding a counselor, I strongly encourage you to find a really good Christian counselor in your community, somebody that you trust, somebody who shares your values. Remember when I did the thing on counseling, there were like 5 different views about pastoral counseling? Well, find one that shares your idea about it, right? So you don't want to be like, for instance, you being really conservative and you have somebody that's just totally liberal way over here, because they're not going to share it, and vice versa. You don't want, you want to make sure that they have the same heartbeat as you, someone you trust. A couple of places where you can find good counselors if you don't know, like you say you're in a community and there's a teenager, you're a youth pastor, for instance, you're in a community and there's a teenager who needs counseling and you don't know where to go, you can look at Focus on the Family or the American Association of Christian Counselors. Both of them have lists of approved Christian counselors in the area. The only thing is they've sort of vetted them. I mean, they've looked at their website or something, but they don't know these people. You got to be sure that this is somebody you trust and you like. So basically what I would say is the first couple of 6 months on the job, wherever, or maybe earlier than that, first 3 months, well, that you're there, wherever you might go, start looking for a Christian counselor. Find someone, take them out to for a coffee or something, talk to them, and that way they become your friend, and then you guys will be allies then, and that works great. Now, let's say you refer somebody to your Christian counselor friend. Um, so you need to just ask for permission, um, for you and the counselor to talk to each other, and maybe have them give the counselor permission to talk to you, and so that way you and the counselor can work together, and you take it from one side, the counselor takes it from the other, and that works really, really, really well. One thing that comes up in churches, every church I've ever been at, multiple times, are benevolence issues. Somebody comes in off the street, they say, we've run out of gas. I don't have money for rent. I need some food. I need some money. Can you give me some money? And then you're just stuck with this issue, trying to figure out, okay, what do I do? Do I help them? Do I not help them? And pretty much every pastor I've ever met, me included, for sure, we've been suckered. We've been suckered. We've been scammed. Like one time, I remember there were some people that said they were out of rent money. They were just desperate. Please give us rent money. I gave them a couple $100. And then they came back later because God had convicted them. They got saved and they got convicted of this couple. They come back and they said, we lied to you. We went to the casino. We wanted to gamble and we didn't have any money. So we thought we'd come and lie to you and you would help us. And I did. They lost all the money at the casino that I gave to them too. So that didn't work out real well. So you got to be wary of scammers and be really wise in the way you give money. In fact, most of the time, like when this would come, we would never give money straight out. We would give groceries. We'd give a voucher for groceries, a voucher for a night in a hotel, that kind of thing, but never just giving straight out cash, because a lot of times what they're doing is drinking it and using drugs and stuff. Um, so basically, what I always tried to do was work together with like Salvation Army or some other group like that. The churches in town, we kind of banded together, and we found what happened was there were people that go from every church to church to church to church asking for the same stuff, and each church would give them a handout. They'd be making a killing on the churches. And but once we figured that out and we all started working together, then we compared notes with each other and had a common place that we all sent people to, and then we just gave money to it. So we gave thousands and thousands of dollars. We gave over 40, 50,000 a year to this thing. But instead of us doing it all ourselves, we had somebody who was a pro. And that's what I'd say, rely on the professionals, because sometimes helping hurts and you think you're helping them out, but really what you're doing is hurting them. Like in one instance that I'm going to mention, this is true. Let's say that somebody gets kicked out of their home. Their mother kicked them out, they say, and they're coming to say, can I have a place to stay? Can you buy me a motel room for tonight because mom kicked me out of the house? Well, your compassion will want to buy the motel room for them, but maybe there's a reason why mom kicked him out of the house, and maybe they need to deal with this situation. And if you can say, well, could I talk to your mother? Let's see what they say about that. If they don't want you to talk to the mom, then don't ever help them. Don't. Like I, this has happened to me a half dozen times where people have come to me and they said something like, I need gas money. I'm on my way to the city. The city's 3 hours from here, and I need to get there because my mother's in the intensive care unit, and they say that she's dying. And if I don't get there right away, and I need money for or a train ticket or a bus ticket, can you just please help me? And the first couple of times I got suckered on that, but I got wise. That's one good thing that happens when you become an old geezer. I got wise, and I said, okay, can you give me the name of the hospital? What's your mother's name? And it's Bertha Jones, and it's St. Mary's in Atlanta. Okay, St. Mary's in Atlanta. So then I call if there is a St. Mary's in Atlanta, then I call and ask for the intensive care unit. Yeah, okay. Hello, I'm looking for Bertha. Is there a Bertha Jones? No, never heard of her. Oh, okay, really? And usually by the time my phone conversation is done, the person's already out the door. Now, not everybody that's in need, that comes to you in need, really, they're scammers. There are legitimate issues, and you got to be compassionate and be respectful of people as much as you possibly can, but be cautious, be wary, particularly if somebody is passing through town or something like that. The other thing I've noticed is that there are some people that they're just chronic. So like you help them this month, they're going to help you. They're going to come to you next month, and the next month, the next month, until you put the parameter on it. And so sometimes the way I've dealt with that is I've just put some teeth into it. Say, okay, I'm going to help you this time, but between now and next time, you're going to have to make a budget, and you're going to have to meet with my friend Bill. And if you come back to me next month and you haven't done a budget and you haven't met with Bill, then I'm not going to help you. And in fact, I will only help you based on Bill's recommendation. Then what that does is it takes the burden off of me trying to figure out how should I help this person. I feel bad for them. It puts it back on them. So they take, anyway, so sometimes we just say no, and because it's the right thing, the most loving thing to do, it's the most helpful thing. Sometimes we push back if they got kicked out of the house. Maybe this whole painful situation is to teach them something about mending bridges with the people that are supposed to be in life with them, people in their relationships. We don't want to enable dysfunction. Okay, how do you mobilize others for care? I mentioned this a long time ago, but many serving the one is better than one serving the many. And our whole system is set up on one serving the many. There's one doctor, many patients, one pastor, many parishioners, one dentist, many dentees. But in ministry, it really ought to be many serving the one. So there's one person in need, and we rally around that person. And there are ways to do that. Stephen Ministries and Stephen Ministry and Befriender Ministry, those are the two most popular lay ministry programs. The only problem is they're very extensive and expensive. Stephen Ministry particularly, it's the best, but it costs you out the nose. It costs to buy it, it costs almost as much as it would a part-time staff person. So we never did do Stephen Ministry or Befriender. We took some of the principles and concepts, and then we just kind of did it more organically. A couple of things that we did, telecare, where we actually divvied up the congregation into teams, into groups. And then I had people who were just shepherd kind of people who called them. They called them every month. How you doing? Anything I could pray about? Is there anything that you'd like Pastor Mark to know? And so they would share, and if anybody had a surgery coming or this or that, it really helped them. And then you can do this with lay shepherding too, where one person kind of oversees a smaller group. We did this through our small group system. And so the locus of care for our church actually happened in small groups. And if you can empower small group leaders, then the care is multiplied rather than one pastor traveling around. This hit me one day early on when I had to visit 4 hospitals in 4 different cities in one day. And I thought, I can't continue to do this. I mean, it was all day long driving to be in there because Hayward is a long ways from anywhere. And so I learned that I just needed to pass this on and share it with others. And there's such joy in it, such joy in it. Others found great joy in serving. So you can do this organically, and probably the best way to do it organically is to bring somebody along with you. So if you're going to go visit somebody in the hospital or do some kind of care thing, go to the nursing home or something, then you don't do it by yourself. You bring somebody with you, and you do that 2 or 3 times, and then you let them go. Remember the guy that came to Tom, who came to class? We played the guitars together and sang the "Don't Let the Devil Ride" song. Well, I recruited Tom to come with me to the nursing home, and we sang songs for the nursing home residents. But then I got too busy; I couldn't do it, and so I just gave it to him, and he went every month. He was going to the nursing home, and then he brought somebody else along with him. So then it multiplied. He's still doing it with others, and now they have it going in 3 different nursing homes. So you want to look for people that have the natural gift of caregiving. Just look for those guys, and then put them to work. Okay, so now that's all about referral. Now there's 2 things I'm going to ask you for. One is to find 5 online caregiving resources. There's a Google Docs link I'm going to put in the assignment. And so underneath one of those categories, well, 5 of them, if at some point, you're going to do 5 different things, right? But each of your 5 is going to go under one of these categories. And the categories are the main categories that we covered in our class. I want you to find 5 online resources that would speak to whatever issue. And you can pick any category you want. You could do all 5 under one category if you want to take a deep dive there. So if you want to do 5 on grief and bereavement, or if you want to do 5 on pre-marriage counseling or on spiritual aspects, or the whole thing, just 5 at some point or another. So I want you to do 5 and put your name behind it, so I know that you're the one that. No, I'm not going to do that. You instead of, I'm sorry, I'll show you the Google Docs. You're not going to write it in the Google Doc, but in the assignment, you give me the link and tell me which category it goes under. Then I'll put it all in, so that way you guys aren't all seeing what each other's doing. I think that keeps it more personal. So sorry about that. So you're going to do 5 online caregiving resources. You'll submit it to me, and I'll put it up on the Google Docs link, and then you'll have that for later, and that's going to be really helpful for you. And then the other thing is a ministry caregiving code of ethics. Now, what I want you to do is research this. What is the code of ethics for caregiving? And now, most of this you'll find, if you put caregiving code of ethics, you'll find stuff about doctors or nurses or psychologists or counselors. Well, what's one for a pastor? Like somebody who's serving in ministry. Or what is yours? What would be your code of ethics? So you take stuff that those guys said, but then you apply it to yourself. And I want you to come up with 10 things, 10 ethical principles for ministry caregiving, and you have to use at least 3 resources for it. Well, there you go. That's it. God bless you guys. Well, I'll do one more quick little video just to say bye-bye next week. But hey, we're good. God bless you. Bye.